Very clear.
I wanted to test my one as well, see whether it's working. Will you allow me to share? Can you see the screen
No.
now?
Oh, go ahead.
I think they have to allow you to share first.
Okay, cool. You need to allow me to share first, is it?
Yep. The host needs to allow you.
Oh, now my share button is also dim already. Just now I was able to share, but now my share button is dim.
I think it's being controlled by the host.
Yeah, I think
Mr. Raj already have the presenter role. You can share. Just click the share button.
Click.
You can see there's the icon next to your name.
Can you see my presentation?
Yep. Yep, you got it.
Okay, good. This has been so familiar with Microsoft Meet Zoom. Then because the sister Webex, you need to be a little bit careful now.
can you stop sharing? You need to know where to stop.
Yeah.
Encik Mecca, good afternoon, selamat petang.
Good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon.
Siapa presenter yang pertama nanti ya?
Mr. Lau.
Saya.
Mr. Lau, and then Raj, then
Faisal.
Faisal.
Monthly or weekly?
Baik.
Hello. Can I start now?
Yes, man.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon and assalamualaikum to all. For attending this WebEx today. Okay. We have with us today three distinguished speakers from the industry education from the education industry, which is Mr. Luke Raj, Mr. Faisal Shadli, and Mr. Lau King Hui. Okay. This WebEx will be on the for technology for education, basically. Okay, so in order to start this, okay, let's have this short overall content on the topic. Okay, as cliche as it may seem now, the COVID-19 pandemic had disrupted almost every sector and every industry, including including education. The unprecedented disruption caused a forced transition to online or digital teaching learning, where both teachers and students have had to adjust to being physically disengaged whilst having to adjust to the other new norms of daily lives. With movement restrictions orders intensified around the country amid rising COVID-19 cases, and most students still unable to attend school in person, many parents are very concerned about the continuity of learning. The adoption of digital technologies in education has been accelerated to adapt to the changes in behaviors, values, and actions, which in turn impacts the very student learn as well as their capacity to learn. The fourth industrial revolution brings about the data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, to name a few. Besides ensuring the readiness in terms of the ecosystem or curriculum policies and investments for these technologies and thrives, OIR can augment students' learning experiences. And this is an indication for the education sector to harness the innovations to enhance the learning experience. Okay, before we move forward, we would like to, in terms of the local capability in edutech, Malaysia aspires to strengthen the education system by emphasizing on more humanistic and value-driven education with the internalization of the culture of happiness, love, and mutual respect. This forum features local capabilities and solutions that support online learning or digital education. Okay, we have here today Saspadi Holdings, which is a Malaysian content creator, which is Mr. Lau. And we have the Pramakora System Technologies for Education sector, which is Mr. Luke Raj. And Versatile Group, Malaysia System Development, ready to explore business opportunities in integrating technologies to improve education, which is Mr. Faisal Shadli. Okay, should anyone who wishes to ask questions to the speakers, you may do so in the chat box, and we'll try my best to entertain you. Without further ado, we would like to invite our first speaker, Mr. Lau, to give his presentation. Mr. Lau, the floor is yours. Sorry, Mr. Lau, we can't hear you. I think you better unmute your button.
Some technical difficulties. Cannot hear Mr.
Okay,
Law.
okay, Mr. Lau, hold on. We have some technical difficulties here. Azam, macam mana Azam?
Mine is okay, but Mr. Law seems to have an icon on the.
Yeah, mine is okay, right? Can anyone hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
can hear you
Mine,
clearly.
okay.
We do.
Mr. Law, we can't hear you. There's something wrong with your microphone.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. Sorry
Okay,
sorry
right.
about that. I check out and check in again now. It's okay. All right.
Okay, all right, Mr. Lau, you may continue.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, Saudara Majelis Pengerusi, my fellow panelists, and ladies and gentlemen on the line. Please allow me to share my screen. Can I go ahead and share my screen now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Click on this. Is it showing up at your side?
Yes, it's really good. It's good.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, to begin with, I would like to quickly just, as a backdrop, just to set the scene. This is actually, we are talking about technology, and I would just like to use this slide to tell everyone how back in 1985 when Saspari was first started, how a book was made. Every page of a book was handmade, literally handmade. And by that, I mean, for instance, the layout, for layout, we actually have to use scissor and gum to do the cut and paste, not the cut and paste that you know of today, digitally. And along this line, the flow chart, two processes have been rendered obsolete. One is a typesetting, the other one is filming. As we all now know, typesetting are all done, in the publishing program. And filming is also obsolete now because now we have the technology to go from computer straight to plate without having to go through filming and then from a film to plate before we do printing. This is how much technology have changed. So as we can see, technology have brought big changes to our lives, and particularly, I think in some industry, it have impacted us in a very big way and changed the way we do things. For instance, banking, right? And the way we access information and entertainment, just an example. And in most cases, people were very quick to embrace new technology when it becomes available. And we can see also significant shift in lifestyle and behavior in people's day-to-day going about doing things. But interestingly, we also noticed that ICT did not gain major tractions in education. And this is actually very well documented. And what is the reason, you may ask? The challenges are actually multidimensional and complex. It's definitely not a binary construct, just like people were saying, you either you have or have not. I mean, in terms of infrastructure and hardware devices. But I would like to say that they are actually much more complex and more multidimensional. But that is actually another session for another webinar. For today, I'm just going to focus on contents, right? Before I dive deeper into contents, I would like to just take this opportunity to highlight a few characteristics that are unique to education. First and foremost, we know education is a birthright. And when we talk about a birthright, it is not enough to just being able to provide education, but we must always also remember about equity in education. So when we look into education, we must always bear in mind it is not an easy task for any policymaker, any government, because when you want to roll out any major policy, you must always bear in mind about equality, and therefore your scalability may sometimes have a lot of constraint. So that is just the perspective that I would like to put things into, because the content is just one of the factor, and I would like to use this as a background, and so that we know when whatever that we are discussing, we must always bear in mind about equity and the scalability and how we assess technology. We must always not deviate from this founding very, very important fundamental principles. So what are the challenges facing content? To me, content and its design are critical to the success of digital education. Of course, there are also many other aspects that are critical, but I would like to say content and design particularly important. And when we look at content, we must always look at the compliance of content in terms of its design. And I would like to just use this opportunity to maybe highlight 5, but not limited. They are not limited to just these 5, but I would like to today just highlight 5 areas where we must always pay a lot of attention to when we design contents for education. Number 1, it is about comprehensiveness and whether or not the content are up to date. When we talk about formal education here, I meant education that has got a framework, a curriculum. Of course, informal education is an exception. You can take it or leave it. But when we talk about formal education, we talk about going to school, and this is what I meant. The content that we make available to the students must be comprehensive. We cannot, do cherry picking and then just do some topics and then just give it to them, because when a student is being assessed, right, for the learning outcome, question will be asked, and the question can be asked based on any topics in the syllabus. So it is not good enough if we were to provide or design some contents that are not which are not comprehensive and not up to date. Well, up to date is very important also, because in the exam, your answers is expected to be an up to date answer. So in that sense, comprehensiveness and the what you call the current contents are a continuous process in terms of content design or content provider. This is of utmost importance. Number 2, the contents that we design must be also be easily customizable by teachers. This is particularly important because in education, in order for the teachers to be more effective in terms of achieving the learning outcome, it is important for them to localize the content so that you can actually use it more efficiently or more effectively in your contextual teaching and learning. And when we create a certain content, we would like that content to be very easily modified or customizable by the teachers for the local context purpose. So that one example that I would always put is this. For instance, if we are using the content in big cities like Kuala Lumpur, you may use an example of MRT. But if we were to be teaching a certain topics in a rural area where the student have never been to a big city and never seen an MRT, it would be inappropriate to use. It would be better if we could use a more relevant examples that a student could relate to. So that part of the content could be easily customizable by the teachers. So that is very important. Number 3, I think the user interface and the content, how you access the content, all has to be very user-friendly and efficient. And efficiency is very important because when we look at contents, we must always remember teachers, when they walk into a classroom or when we teach on an online setting, we must always be mindful about instructional time. We want to use our time for delivering content and knowledge. We do not want to waste our time on waiting for contents to be loaded, for instance, or we do not want to waste time, on having to, resolve a lot of technical issues. That would mean the loss of instructional time, which is very, very precious assets. So in that sense, when we design content, we always be very mindful and always bear in mind about how to make the content be as light as possible, as functional as possible. So it is always an issue of between form and function. In the context of technology use, you can be very fanciful, you can do a lot of things, but what is the purpose? So between form and function, we need to strike a very good balance. So this is with regards to in order to prevent the loss of precious instructional time. And I think the number 4, the fourth point that I would like to highlight is about how we can deliver a seamless user experience to the teachers and the students. It is very common for teachers to, sometimes jump in and out of certain applications, and or in order for him or her to highlight a certain examples, they may need to leave the platform. That experience is very important. I have seen many teachers, who who have to leave the platform temporarily, but later on lost their way and couldn't make their way back to the platform. So this seamless user experience is very important, particularly if we are dealing with teachers of a very wide range of age. That age spectrum for our teachers are actually very wide. So we must always be mindful whenever we design our content. We have to be very mindful of these different users' age group. Number 5, I think this is a given. We must design content that are compatible with all devices. And especially if we do not have solutions which is a standard device which is provided by the government or by the MOE, meaning we are referring to those bring your own devices kind of policy. Then you will see different devices, different sizes, screen sizes, and OS. Then the contents must be able to work equally well on all the various devices. So with all these critical success factor, I would call them. So Saspari actually over the years we have evolved, and we have gone through the learning curve, and we really understand the importance of this critical success factor when we design our contents. And I'm very proud to say that we actually already have a lot of capabilities in terms of content design. We are talking about compliant in the context of complying to our local situation, the school, classroom, the socio-economic background, and family. For instance, the support of IT literacy in family, every aspect of them. So I'm very happy to say that Saspari over the years, we have actually developed quite a lot of content that are able to live up to all these expectations. And COVID-19 pandemic has a catalytic effect, as our chair, our moderator have mentioned just now on digital education worldwide. Malaysia, there is no difference. Malaysian school, have been stepping up digital initiative since March last year. And since March last year, we have also seen heightened uptake of Saspari's digital solutions in classroom nationwide. And some of the solutions, our solutions that are now currently being used in either schools or classroom, for instance, our virtual learning platform, which is known as Island Ace. Island Ace is a very powerful virtual self-directed learning platform, and it covers subjects and all the major subjects and full comprehensive curriculum syllabus from year 1 all the way to Form 5. It has been in market for many years, and it is a very stable system. And students could access to notes, and do assessment, and they can use a platform tool to make mind maps and many more. More importantly, we have analytic engines running, and every student who log in, and when they do any activities or the assessment that they do on the platform are being logged, and we have actually keep all those records for the students' own monitoring, in terms of their progress and their learning progress, so that they can use their time more efficiently. I would like to refer to that as a data-driven student, who only spend time to study on topics that they are still weak in, so that they could actually better utilize their time. The analytics engine running behind is a very powerful engine, and they give them very detailed breakdown down to subtopics, so that they know exactly where to focus on and to spend more time on their, in terms of their time allocations. And we also have a lot of teachers resources in the form of teaching aids and programs, like for instance question banks, and we also have I-21 classroom program, which is actually basically a lot of modules which we package together, and then we allow teachers to use those modules, tribute modules, and video, including videos and assessment questions seamlessly in the Google Classroom environment. They could actually engage students using our content that we have created in Google Classroom setting, very effortlessly, seamlessly, just with a few clicks and it will be done. And we also have developed a lot of hybrid solutions. The hybrid solutions that we have developed are also being used in the textbook in school. By hybrid, I meant we have put a lot of extended information and materials on the web, either on the web or some will be downloaded into a local device by using mobile applications, and so that even without connectivity, students could still have access to those extended material. And the extended materials also use augmented reality technology, so that they could actually have certain form of animation and a different dimension in terms of their learning, to learn especially good when they are learning certain concepts. So these are basically some of the content that we have created over the years. And I would like to just use this slide to highlight some of my personal observation over the years. I've more than been focusing, investing, Such Study Group have been investing heavily in digital solutions since more than 10 years ago. And over the year, we have gone through the learning curve, and this is some of the finding and my personal observation that I find for us to be successful in our digital migrations. I think these are very critical. These are some of the must-win battles. Number one, I think it is very important for government to play a central role, because in education, in digital education, we must not leave it to market forces. Because, like I've mentioned earlier, prior to this, that education is a birthright, and we must always be mindful about equity. If we were to leave it to the market forces, then you will see that the gap will be widening, right? Due to the socio-economic background and all the other challenges, because the fabric of the society is built such. So I think it's only fair that the government must play a central role and try to invest more in digital education. So number two, I believe that we need to empower teachers, right? Empowering teachers here require us to relook and realign our curriculum, and also to relook at the teachers' current routines. Because in order for the teachers to be able to, for instance, customize the content for their local environment, or to build the next best thing to happen is when teachers start to build their own contents, but it requires a lot of time, and also they also need to go through a new learning curve, and we need to create that space for them. So realignment of curriculum, or to revisit their current routine and making some adjustment to it would be critical if we want them to be able to embrace technology with an open arms. And I think to establish a standard baseline would be critical, particularly in the area of equitable education, because if we were to leave it to teachers, and then we are subjecting our students' learning to each individual teacher's own talents, right? And we know teachers are all very differently talented, right? And we will probably not see a standard solutions, and thereby we may actually create gaps again. So I believe that government's involvement, and by providing a standard baseline, so that education will be more equitable. But of course, the teachers are encouraged to go beyond the baseline, right? Then we can let them excel and do whatever they can. And I think in order for us to be able to smoothen the learning curve, I believe this is actually a policy that policy needs to be looked at, and we need to even engage across ministry. This is not just a matter of education. Then we look at MOE, because I think it is important for us to inculcate a digital culture when we think ICT and live ICT, so that when we have got a new technology, teachers will not be afraid. They will be very ready, ever ready to embrace it, and then I think it will be easier for us to win the battles. I think I better stop here. I probably have taken more than the time allocated to me. I have one more, but this is not very important slide, so I would like to just leave it at that. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Back to the gut. Thank you very much. I think you are muted.
Who's the second person?
Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lau, for a very good presentation from Mr. Zubadi's point of view on the contents for education. Okay, next we would like to invite Mr. Luke Raj to give his presentation on from Marcora Systems Berhad. Thank you very much.
Good day to everybody. Nice meeting you all. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present 21st century digital education. Without further ado, let me get my slides up. Just give me a minute. Can you all see the slides? Can you all see the
Yes, we
slides?
can.
Yep.
Yes,
good.
we can. Yes.
All right.
Good.
All right. Yeah. Let me move forward. Let me quickly brief you a little bit about what is Makora about and our engagement. Makora was formed in 1986. We have gone through three drastic recession in Malaysia, 86, 1998, and 2008. All the while we've been in technology business when the days where internet started in Malaysia, or rather I would say when computers started in Malaysia until now we've been moving. And last 3 years we have been looking at what's actually happening in the emerging technology, and we decided to move into a new venture, which is actually on education. IR 4.0 is a big topic now being discussed by all government of the day globally. But the major challenges in the IR 4.0 was actually the adoption rate, one, in every industry, except the Fortune 500 companies actually take the lead and move on into digital transformation. And during the same emerging technology last 3 years ago, a couple of things happened. There's a lot of talk about emerging technology like AI, AR, VR, IoT, blockchain, fintech, and whatever not. But this 4 or 5 years ago, while they're talking, AR and VR was already adapted by Fortune 500 companies while we have been talking that in Malaysia. So to democratize these AR, VR, all the while, if you talk about virtual reality, it's actually a gaming platform. If you all don't understand, yeah, it's a gaming platform. Like blockchain, it's an engine by itself. But the platform has been utilized from vertical business, not in education, in industry, and many verticals of industry. So what we decided to do 3 years ago, we saw this opportunity in emerging technology, and we saw AR, VR was already adopted by large organizations, Fortune 500 companies, almost about 15 years ago, which have been developing and they've been using it. And it was never used in education for the matter. So we saw the opportunity in the emerging technology among all these verticals. VR was the first pioneers moving forward. So with that, what we did, we tied up with the world's largest AR VR company, which is called Beyond Reality. You can see on my slide. Beyond Reality has been in the market for last 20 years, presence in 28 countries, engagement with IR 4.0 industry as well as education industry. But now our major focus are actually education industry. COVID was a blessing for us, to be honest with you. It's a major challenge for the industry, for education industry, but it was a total blessing for us. Why it was a blessing? Because we was able to have the platform which the education industry needed. Most of the industry, when we engage with the education industry, this was the challenge in the education industry during COVID. Whenever teaching takes place from the K-12 education or even a higher education, many challenges is one way of teaching. The lecturer teach, demonstrate, but the students listen and they move on. So there was no engagement, there was no collaborative learning, there was no experimental learning, there was no engagement from the student's perspective. So students, as far as we are concerned, that they have not really learned much. They understood, but they have not really much. So what was lacking in the education industry was this. When it comes to digital platform and online learning, the experimental learning as well as the collaborative learning was totally a disappointment for the students. Not for the universities. They did whatever they can, but for the students' perspective, they could not engage in a discussion with the lecturer. They couldn't do an experimental learning with the practical lecturer in any subject. So because of this point of losses, students' understanding level drastically have changed. So what we did over the last couple of years, we focused on education, and we brought this experimental and collaborative learning plus 360 learning in our platform. In a single platform, you have all three. So you can be anywhere around the world. What you need is a tablet, a desktop, or a laptop, or a mobile phone. We have interfaces for all this. You just need to log in, and the lecturer can actually run a lesson virtually. But remember what I'm saying. Our platform provide you collaborative and experimental learning, which is a missing link in online learning. Moving forward. The academic challenges, I think Mr. Law explained about the academic challenges. We also understand the academic challenges. We are currently, as I'm talking to you, we have successfully tapped the higher education industry. The major effect was the higher education industry, where students pay to learn in universities. When they did not have the leverage of online learning with collaborative and experimental, it was pretty disappointment. So this is where the challenges are. Students sit down in front of the classes in the laptop. They mark attendance, but they're not focusing on the education. This is what has really been challenging. So these are the major challenges where the old methods are no longer approachable. If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday, we rob them of tomorrow. What I'm saying, it is written by John Davy, in 21st century, the whole dynamics have changed. Get what I mean? When I say the whole dynamics have changed, I'm also engaging with universities on a higher level and telling them, listen, even our syllabus have to be changed. Not only the whole dynamics change, the syllabus have to be changed. Why? Because we are still living on 10, 20 years old syllabus and still teaching. There's a lot of changes have taken place with technology driving in inside. So you can't teach today's students as we thought yesterday. We rob them the tomorrow. Why? With technology like YouTube, Facebook, and all these platforms, now students can get information just flick of a second. They become smarter than the lecturer in coming to knowledge. Get what I mean? So you can't teach them anymore the way you're supposed to teach. You need to change dynamics completely. Now, these are the introduction of new technology, but it's through disruption and innovation. I mean, books was there, then Blackboard instruction came in, and then you moved on with ebooks, and then we went on to YouTube, and then we on the MOOCs. But remember, all these things which I'm showing does not have, when you go online, does not have collaborative or experimental learning. Those students can listen, hear, and that's about it. They can't engage with the lecturer. So now what we decided to do, we changed the whole dynamics in 21st century education opportunity. Now, as I speak to you, we are very successful in, universities, right? We have not touched the K-12 education, but we are very successful in universities around the world. We have customers like NTU Singapore, who uses our platform for teaching and learning. Last 5 years in NTU, they've changed the whole dynamics of teaching, which is now every classroom, they have smart classroom. The students go with a tablet, sit down, engage, learn, go back home, learn, all online and move it. Only on certain level, the engagement level come in. So now, what does 21st century education opportunity bring to you? Now, if you and I understand, 3D dynamics is a very big word. What you see in movies those days is actually happening these days, right? 3D learning is entirely a different dynamic. When you actually learn it on 3D dynamics, what happens is actually you understand the real world. Our eyes and brains give us a 3D picture of the world. Your conceptualization of the teaching will be very clear. Traditional teaching based largely on text and 2D images is actually fading slowly. Abstract thinking is required to turn that information to the real world structure function on a 3D images. Now, this was not the experience of students went through when they go into school or college. They don't really see the real simulation of a world, what actually they're learning. What they're learning, books, pictures, and some videos. That's about it. But they were not able to go stimulate the whole environment and go inside and learn what is the internal depth of the content. So this is where the 3D dynamics take your whole content on a 3D dynamic, show you on a 360 level what's inside, what are outside, how it flows, and break down into components where the students are able to understand well. Now, why AVR? AVR means the short form because augmented virtual reality leads to better retention. Now, this is the feedback not from us, these are from the industry players. Using AVR, you can learn faster. One, because you engage directly. You can also remember longer, and you can decide better. Now, this could not be achieved in normal traditional meeting. I'm not saying traditional teaching and learning is bad, but we can move on to empower ourselves to get it better. So this is where the digital transformation comes into the industry, and students actually now your mobile become your tablet. You get what I mean? Globally, the number of mobile phones we've been used from students, children to the adults, mobile phones become your learning tool. Now, learning is better when a knowledge is transferred within the context with which it's applied in. This is what is lacking in a traditional teaching. Immersion and flow. Remember this: learning and exploration and mastery development can occur, allows for maximum engagement and drives intrinsic motivation, which in turn lead to deeper learning. Deeper learning is very important. 3D does transform these things and make the student understand the subject, what a lecturer is teaching when it's done on a 3D dynamics via VR or AR. Pattern recognition, this is natural. These are feedback from the global independent group. Pattern recognition and learning in 3D mimics how people learn in real life. Subconscious and conscious learning, and in 3D rather than 2D. Now, we spoke about, I believe you all know what's a head mount gear. We're talking about HTC Vive and Oculus and all the kind of thing. Now, when you go into an Oculus, you wear a head mount gear. You can't wear it too long. Probably a maximum you can do it about 15 minutes per subject. When your whole focus, 100% focus on the teaching, there's no disruption, no distraction from anybody, and you see it in 3 dynamics, your brain actually capture what actually you're seeing and hearing. That's where the power of this 3D teaching comes in. So that's where the VR comes in, where the head mount gears goes in and teaching and goes on. Personalization and psychological moratorium. Scenarios that react differently, just like in real life, matches level of mastery with the right scaffolding also gives space for learners to take risks where consequences are lower. Now, when you stimulate an environment, I'll give you an example. You created a stimulation environment for learning and teaching. Now, students can actually engage experimentally and can afford to make mistakes in the collaborative learning, experimental learning. There's no risk. Let's say I give you a science lab, bring in a science lab live into your simulation. You can go in, learn, experience, but you will not be affected. If you make a mistake, it does not matter. But in the real science lab, what happens if you make a mistake and you hurt yourself? So this empowerment gives you in the earlier stages. When you go to real life, you are very careful. And all this done on 3D dynamics via virtual or augmented reality. So this is a benefit of actually AVR lead to better retention, especially for students in learning and teaching. Imagine the future when a teacher can create an AVR lesson as easy as one can make to a PowerPoint today. And the students can experience it on an iPad or the iPhone. Can and should teaching remain in the 2D model? Now, this is exactly what we have done. Our platform, we created a platform where a teacher can take her content, upload it into our platform, and our platform will automatically convert that into AR, VR. Now, the teacher don't need any IT knowledge, no need to have IT expertise, nothing. Within 2 hours, she can master how to do this, and she can create a lesson on a 3D dynamics on the platform and broadcast it to a whole school, a whole faculty, or whatever she want to. So to teach on AVR is no longer as a hassle like what people think. Our platform made it very simple to use, very easy to engage, and the learning methodology becomes so much easier. So we created all the 3 in one, which means the platform allows you using laptop, a mobile phone, tablet, head-mounted gears on the go. You can learn on the go. Now, this is the best part of it. You can also learn it with us offline. You don't have a Wi-Fi, fine. The content's already in your platform. You can actually do it offline. So we have offline and online learning. So the students will not lose out any content, or neither the teachers will not lose out the content in whatever they're teaching. Augmented reality technology is exciting learning experience. This is where the most part of it. The current traditional learning, I'm not saying bad again here, but what I'm saying we need to transform. Exciting learning experience is very crucial now with students. Students are very smart nowadays. With all the gadgets around, with technology around, they go in and learn a lot of things. So the teaching and learning should be learning experience, no longer a teaching experience. Students must be a learning experience. Higher student engagement. Now, on a traditional manner during the COVID, there was no student engagement. It's all one way of teaching from the lecturer or the teacher. But student engagement was completely zero. Now, the question is, when it's zero, what did actually the student understood? You know what I'm saying? I'll leave the answer to you all. Better knowledge retention. Now, when you use an AR and VR, whatever been taught, because you're engaging virtually and you're doing collaborative learning, what happened? You will remember what has been taught and what you have done. Two verticals works on an experimental learning. One is that you engage. On a collaborative learning, this is the best part of it, our platform. What we does, the lecturer throw in a problem into the platform and get about 10 to 20 students come together and create a solution to it. Now, this is what we call self-directed learning. Anything you put on a hand and you skill and do link, you will never forget. So we created that particular module in the platform so students can actually online solve problem to a solution, to a problem a teacher is submitting online. And it's collaborative learning, which means 10, 20 students come together and find a solution. And once they find the solution, this solution becomes their assignment or whatever not. Now, what we are doing, we are getting the student to engage now. They learn, they do, rather than I teach you. I've given you the fundamentals. Now I want you to do yourself. So we give you this leverage in our platform to move forward. Now, these are the kind of customers we have globally. I'm currently we are focusing on higher education. We have much more than that. In Malaysia, what our success stories are to be forward. We have done a joint venture with the Sarawak State Government. We set up an AR, VR R&D center. We set up a center for content development. We have set up a center for lifelong learning. And we also have set up a center to develop ecosystem for any vertical of industry. Now, my personal opinion, with Sarawak government investing in various verticals, Sarawak, my personal opinion, will be the first digital state in Malaysia because they're putting where the money is, and they're creating R&D. So that's what's happening in Sarawak. Our second engagement in Malaysia is that we are having a couple of pilot projects running onto the public university and private university, already engaging. They've realized it is good. And one of the international university already engaged with us, setting up an AR VR experience center in the university. And what they're doing is now with the experience center, they're going to change the dynamics of the learning and teaching using AR and VR. Get what I mean? Now, any international university, when they go into transformation, they can't be wrong. Our perspective, they know what the future like in education. So they're transforming. After the pandemic, everybody is transforming. So these are some of the success stories. We have about 10 universities doing pilot projects, using a platform, which I foresee by after June, a lot of universities will engage on AR, VR in learning and moving forward. Now I'm going to show you some of the demos rather than talking. Take a look at this. Close this one. I'm going to show you some videos so that you can see what I'm talking about. Close this one. Okay, can you see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm going to run a video. What is the platform capable of? Now, this is the best part of it. 1 minute. This is the best part of this platform. Content is no longer an issue. Content making, development is a big business globally. Malaysia is also going into content development on 3D, creative technology and all that. They're going in big way. Matter of time, individuals will create the content and have it in the public domain for academy or industry to use the content. So content is not an issue. People like Saspadi is doing a great job. They're having content. So we would like to talk to them and collaborate and take it to the next level. Get what I mean? And this is what the platform actually capable of doing. Take a look at it. We brought in all in one single platform.
To download Eon XR from Mac, go to eon-xr.com and go to downloads.
Can you all hear?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Thank you.
interactions and
This is how teaching and learning will take place.
3D textures look great. 8.2 also expands our new 3D recording and assessment technology to mobile AR. Educators can create step-by-step 3D recordings of their procedures. And now students can follow along and then repeat the process in augmented reality with a mobile device. This brings a new level of presence to the experience of interacting with virtual content as if it's right there in front of you. The user's performance of the procedure is tracked and a report is automatically generated. Next up, we're excited to introduce major improvements to Eon XR for Oculus Quest 2 other VR headsets. We're proud to announce that we've partnered with Unity and begun migrating our library to the GLTF format for optimal performance. You can now browse our entire library of lessons in virtual reality and jump in and out seamlessly. Members can sign in to access their organization's material. Interacting with digital content with both hands in VR opens new doors in remote training and education. 3D recordings in VR put the user in the same room as the lesson creator. Heading over to the asset marketplace, Eon XR 8.2 introduces an improved browsing experience with asset previews, images, and detailed properties. For members who wish to import their own 3D content, we've expanded our support coverage to include non-CAD formats such as OBJ, FBX, and MAX files. Just drag and drop your model into Eon XR, and you'll be guided through the process of prepping it for a lesson. Eon XR meetings allow groups to share in virtual events where they can collaborate on the same 3D subject matter in real time. With 8.2, meetings are now accessible to a wider audience with multilingual support. Finally, we've made significant refinements to Eon XR for Magic Leap. Multi-user meetings work seamlessly, whether joining in person or remotely, using persistent coordinate frames for greater fidelity. These and many other features are available right now.
Right. This is one of the video. I just want to run one more video, which actually now we are going to implement in school. We already started implementing this in Vietnam schools, and we are implementing this in Indian school. Malaysian schools, we are just talking to them. In fact, in 2019, MOE appointed us to do a pilot project for the K-12 education. But 2020, our COVID kicked in, so we were not able to deliver the pilot project for them to show them the KPI of VR AR learning in school. Just one more video, I'm done. Okay. Can you all, hold on. Can you all see this? Now, this is what we are doing in K-12 education. Can you all see this?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, quick one. This is how teaching in schools will take place. This is future education. The students can be at home, anywhere, engagement takes place in this manner. So the understanding level of a student on a subject is entirely different, and they're experimenting it on their own. You create lessons around it. You create whatever you want to put in YouTube, channel, environment, everything can be done. Now, this is the kind of thing which the future education will take place, which is not available in the local education. and we anticipate this kind of education to move forward the next level. Now, without further ado, I think I end this particular presentation. This is what we are looking at in Malaysia to move forward. Malaysia will definitely move forward in digital transformation. What we need to do as far as in Malaysian concern, we would like to work together with all stakeholders, like people like Mr. Law, with Faisal, to work together and see whether we can create an ecosystem for Malaysian ecosystem. This is what we wanted to do, we wanted to achieve. We can do that on that basis. We can actually talk to people like MOE or MOHE and take it to a different level of understanding. Now, just to end the conversation, September last year, during the COVID, one of the universities, 6 universities in Johor, had a gathering in Malaysia. We have engaged with them, and they came back and say after the pandemic, this is what they got to say. Raj, we have learned something from the AR, VR pandemic on learning. From year 21st onward, my students, only 50% of them will be in the university. The other 50% all going to go online. With that, I rest my case, what the industry is actually looking at. With that, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Raj. Very interesting presentation, very detailed and very technical, so to speak. Okay, we'll reserve the questions at the end of the presentations. So next we will move on to Mr. Faisal. Give a presentation. Your floor is yours.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much to the moderator. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. My name is Faisal from Versatile Streets, Sdn Bhd. First of all, I would like to say that I'm flattered to be featured alongside heavyweights in the education industry, namely Mr. Law from Sasbadi and Mr. Raj from Makora. Your companies were born during the first years of my life in 1985 and 1986. I was born in 1985. So you can understand.
You still look young, brother.
So okay, let me share my slide. Can you guys see my slide?
Yes, we can.
All right. I would like to step back a little bit into the current offerings in the education industry. Sasbadi has been doing content creation to catalyze the development of Malaysian education and doing very well at it. And Mr. Raj from Makora is basically using a very high technology in terms of AR and VR to enable the education sector. While our focus in Versatile Streets, namely our brand name is Tingkah, and is a platform, integrated distance learning platform, which is much more focused as a private-driven initiative to empower currently the tuition centers to support the mainstream education system. So a little bit of a backstory. The Tingkah initiative was born in 2019, which is very new, which aims to promote an integrated learning and teaching platform with a mission to revolutionize and democratize learning by leveraging on technology and digital tools, where the core delivery methods use video-based and focusing on K-12 education. Every student is unique in their own way, and because of this, various teaching approaches need to be implemented to explain learning areas. The vision of personalized learning for each student has been out of reach due to the inability to individually track the massive numbers of students in real time, and this can be helped with the current technologies that is available to us. The digital tools for education that are available today are still disintegrated, whereby the usage is still not seamless and time-consuming. Tingkah aims to provide a total solution to challenge the status quo. Understanding the urgency to nurture and unlock a new breed of learners for future workforce of Malaysia, Tingkah was born and incorporated under Versatile Streets, Sdn Bhd, a homegrown edtech company where its objective is not to only create passive learners, but also to create learners who possesses a higher order digital and thinking skills, which is mastery. Its goal is to create a learning experience through experiential learning. We collaborate with academias and experts on education from local universities in terms of instructional design, pedagogy, and also distance learning technology. We are positioned to be a supplementary enrichment and enhancement program, whereby its content, our content is meta tag with curriculum data, such as learning areas and learning outcomes, to enable self-paced, self-directed learning, and also to support in classroom and via live stream learning. A lot of this has been mentioned by Mr. Law and Mr. Raj previously. I think we all understand the current status quo, which is an open secret, and what is the current challenges in the current industry. So the best thing is to do is basically to execute stuff already. We are not here to talk about concepts anymore. There are already available technologies that can help us deliver at least access to education. And a lot of technologies, VR, AR, content is there already. And to us, especially, we believe that videos, using video-based education is going to assist in delivering at least the concepts for K-12 education. So currently, we have an edu center in Bukit Jelutong, which houses around 25 tutors, which we call Think Educators, who cover standard 1 to form 5 students, including IGCSE. And as you can see from my slide here, the usage of video in education, 86% of colleges and universities have a presence on YouTube. 35% of college presidents predict students will take at least some online courses by 2022. And 77% of colleges offer online courses. 5.8 million students enrolled. 27% of audience watch live educational talks or lectures. And average age of 18 to 34 own an average of 6 to 8 digital devices each. And teachers finding value in video content has increased each year since 2007. 68% of educators believe that video content stimulates discussions. 66% believe video increases students' motivation. 62% believe video helps teachers to be more effective, and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to portray here is that using video might help the delivery of education, basically to deliver the concept of certain subject matter. So our offerings at Tinka, Negara is a 21st century digital learning platform that houses an edu center equipped with production studio. We have our own Lightbox studio that basically live stream to our students. The Tinka app is a video-based teaching and learning app that uses artificial intelligence and data analytics to promote personalized learning experience for its users. So some of our features that we have: an administered classroom conferencing technology where tools such as the interactive digital blackboard are used by teachers as a teaching aid. We have easy access to folders for teachers and students to store documents, videos, and quizzes. We offer live teaching and on-demand pre-recorded contents by our own educators inside our tuition centers. Tinka users are supported with pre- and post-lecture animation contents that includes in-video micro-assessments. And Tinka Question Bank are used to assess and generate its students' profiling. These data are made to teachers, students, and parents in a simplified dashboard form, which is we call Tinka Analytics. We have an artificial intelligence engine, which is a recommendation engine, strives to curate personalized contents for our users according to their learning approach preferences. This is where we want to push the personalized learning mechanism. So our approach is based on the digital Bloom's taxonomy method. Video contents emphasizes on artificial intelligence engine to encourage personalized learning, covers core subjects and STEM electives such as robotics and coding. Contents are curated towards the digital Bloom's taxonomy method. We encourage experiential learning activity through project-based knowledge application, which I will show to you guys later how we apply to our students. We leverage on data analytics to improve our feature contents based on user interaction on our digital platform. So the current problem is a one-size-fits-all educational content planning. Mostly education being delivered at schools are basically catered as general as it is. There's no personalized element in it. That if there is, it's going to be a very big challenge for the teachers to concentrate to particular student. So technology can solve this, I guess, to us. The vision of personalized learning for each student has been out of reach due to the inability to individually track a massive number of students. Incapability of managing online classes efficiently using the current live conferencing solutions. Google Meet Zoom is now actually is used for meetings. Is not being designed for education actually. Technology knowledge boundaries. This is the IT proficiency between teachers and students, making it convenient for both parties. So any platform has to be very easy to use, and most people have handheld device right now, and it has to be as easy as maneuvering WhatsApp Messenger, something like that. So what we can offer is we have a live streaming with chat function at Digital Blackboard, communicate with teachers using live streaming via mobile phones, tablets, and PC. Digital Blackboard, like I said just now, we allow for images and videos to be attached during live conferences. Allows more than 100 users per interactive live teaching session. Unlimited users per session for one-way stream. All classes recorded for future reference and can be reassessed by students. So teachers only make one content, and basically good contents can be shared nationwide or even globally. So our solution number 2, we have multi-mode study material assessment. This is the exact interface that we have now in the beta version, where this is the only interface that the students is accessing to. It's like a classroom where all the attachments are here, the videos, the assignments, and the live streaming with the join button here is whenever a teacher starts the live conferencing session, they will receive a notification to their tablet, their devices, and join the session. All you need in one page. So this is another solution that we have, which is a personalized video recommendation engine. And this is the exact interface of what our mobile app is all about. So whenever you access a Tinker platform, our recommendation engine suggests contents that are favorable to you. The parameters of recommendation based on the interactions with the service, such as viewing history and rating system. Other students with similar preferences and information about the videos, such as their subjects, categories, genre, and teachers presenting that content. In addition to knowing what they have watched on Tinker to best personalize recommendations, we also look at things like the time of day the students watch the video, the interactions with the micro assessments, how long they watch, whether the interactions of rewinding, fast forwarding, and pausing the video. Those things will be pushed to our data analytics engine. So we have question bank where we partnered with a few providers, and that is translated into in-video micro assessments during video. So the contents are curriculum-based assessment question banks. Nevertheless, school teachers can provide their own materials to digitize and upload it into the system. The micro assessments are embedded in the videos to measure the level of understanding for each student, which will then be pushed to their personalized profiles. So whenever a student encounter a micro assessment content based on this animation, they will need to ask this question, and if it's wrong, the video will be brought back to the original starting point where they have to learn the concept again. We break the videos down to short clips explaining multiple concepts under one learning outcome. And this is our artificial intelligence recommendation engine architecture, where we have multiple content providers teaching the same subjects and learning areas, whereas you can see here, if let's say subject A part 1, the micro assessment is here, the first wrong answer will bring back to the beginning, and then if it's right, then it go to subject part 2, another test here, and then if it's second wrong answer, the system will introduce another content from content provider B. Probably the reason behind this is because of the learning, the teaching methods being applied by the teachers. Some students prefer a different method of teaching, and some prefer another one. So there's nothing standard about it. So this is where we try to promote the personalized learning experience through consuming videos. Solution number 5, we have data analytics, such as we can also call it as a student report card, where students' personalized data analytics dashboard are designed for teachers, parents, and students to access information and students' interaction on the assessment from the question banks, apart from other measurable parameters. All of students' interactions with the Tinker contents will be available here for analysis real time. Education uses this data to intervene at a specific area where concentration is required. These are the sample dashboards. Teachers schools and also the students. Very simplified. And we also build our in-house wall garden tablet. It's a closed platform designed and produced in-house for the specific use of the app. It acts as a content repository when used offline and can be updated when internet connection is available. This tablet has a longer battery lifetime, which is useful for rural areas with limited power source. Affordable with a projected cost of 250 ringgit each, and the cost can be lowered if mass production is being implemented. This we build ourselves in-house. So the goals of Tinka, where we think the platform can contribute to students in the sense that access to quality education, like what Mr. Law said, equitable access is a birthright, leveraging on analytics to create personalized learning path. We hope to benefit the creative content industries also in terms of animation, whatever content, educational content can basically contribute to this platform. We aim to aggregate local content creators and create new economic source to them to create quality content for the education industry. We hope to empower tuition centers by enabling digital adoption for 6,000 plus tuition centers in Malaysia, which is basically I think almost half of them is being closed down due to COVID. And hopefully we can provide some insights to the government to better map the future curriculum of the current students for 21st century digital learning. Competitors, we have some apps here, but mostly revision-based and text-based. Awesome, EduThinker and EduKid app. Regional competitors, these are big names from the edtech industries. Baiju is a multi-billion startup, already not even considered a startup anymore, it's too big. In India, Zenius in Indonesia, and Ruang Guru, all using videos. But none, I think, here in Malaysia yet that is this big. So our value proposition, we are the only application that uses deep analytics and artificial intelligence based on video to promote students' personalized learning, which provides multimodal, multi-path learning for each student. We have two models that can fit in any circumstances of the user. We have the full online model, which is using the app, and we have the Edu Center, which is a hybrid model, where we have the Lightbox Studio to support live stream and recording. Any teachers can use this service free of charge. Tinka has an Edu Center and a Lightbox Studio ready to deliver its services. Our content partner is Karang Craft for the formulation of assessment questions. Probably after this, I can engage with Mr. Law to basically enable me more. And we have academia collaborations with UNISA, USM, and University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, where they provide the pedagogy expert, instructional design, and TNL strategies. We want to make it affordable for all the students, whereby for primary students, 30 ringgit a month can access to all contents, while now tuition center, I think averages around 300 per month for 5 subjects. We want to make it affordable. So only digital technologies can enable this, and we are aiming for scale. Our customer segments demographically is 7 to 17 years old, teachers and content creators and parents 20 to 40 years old. Psychographic lives in both urban and rural area, owns a smartphone, tablet, and PC, has internet access. Geographically, Malaysian, right now we are focusing in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, particularly in Kejerutung area. Why would students subscribe to Tinka? I think it's the best solution, but I might be biased because it has an integrated learning platform to assist teachers to boost online classroom interaction with the advanced technology features like engagement of content through Lightbox Studio and demand for pre-recorded contents in video micro assessments, question bank, and the most important thing is the personalized content in one app, which most of our competitor does not have, the recommendation engine. So our current status, we have built the platform. Right now, it's still not available on the Google Play Store due to the students' privacy policy. We are tackling that as of now. I think it should be ready by next week. Right now, it's available to be downloaded by APK. The content is MetaTech with curriculum data. We acquired a tuition center in Bukit Jelutong just to do a proof of concept and to scale up our content creation. We are not big as a Sasbadi's content, but we have our own in-house, a little bit of twist to it using our studio. Currently, we house 25 tutors who cover standard 1 to form 5, including IGSCE. Our future target is basically in 5 years, Tingkat aims to be the Netflix of education and to be able to bridge the digital divide between rural and urban students by using our tablet as a mediator. Medium term, we aim to franchise our platform to the teaching centers to enable them. Long term is to export our education platform to the, at least in the Asian region. This is our edu center. We basically revamped the whole tuition center ambience basically to make it a go-to place for schools for students before and after school. We provide transit. These are all value-added services to take care of the welfare of the children and the parents. It's a real world problem right now for the parents to manage during pandemic, sending them to schools. This can be the place for them to hang out. So we have Lightboard Studio. This is us featured on Trokatech, a series by Mari Institute. This is how we use our Lightboard Studio to stream our contents using Lightboard. This is the Lightboard also we build it in-house. It's not as high technology as Mr. Raj VR, but this basically improves the engagement because it's vibrant and colorful. Thank you. I think that's all for my presentation. I can show you the app, but I don't know whether I have time or not, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. No problem.
Let me show you a little bit of some of our contents. Okay, this content is created by a few 17-year-olds from Australian International School. So we just give them a lesson plan and ask them to use their own creativity to create animation for us. And basically, this is where the experiential learning project-based application that basically being implemented in our center. So by doing this, they understand more. They are now in
Faisal, sorry, we can't see the video, Faisal.
Oh, you can't? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. Something wrong here. I think I couldn't find it here.
Share the link, Faisal, to our chat.
Yeah.
So they can have a look at it.
Just give me a second. Can you see it now?
Yeah, can.
Yeah, yes.
Hello, Tinkers. Welcome to the Tinker Science Lab. Let me be your one-day guide to our amazing
Okay,
Science
so
Lab.
basically,
Did you know what a
this
Science
project
Lab
is being given
is? A
to
Science Lab is
our
a room
students.
dedicated to
Can you hear
conducting
me well?
specific studies or experiments inside the laboratory. There are various materials and tests, for example, measuring cylinder, retort leg, pipettes, and others. So I add a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Seems right.
Hello, sir. I have a question.
What is your question, little one?
Sir, every time I pass by, I see a lot of stuff in the laboratory. What are these stuff even used for?
Okay, so these are samples of the contents created by our Form 5 students from Australian International School. So what we gave them is just a lesson plan, just a lesson plan about apparatus. So what they did was they just take the lesson plan, use their own creativity, and create this animation for us, basically to help them understand more about the subject matter. So these are the kinds of methods that we're implementing in the tuition center, and these contents is being used to be consumed by the other users. So it's basically a peer-to-peer support. I can show you others, but it might take a lot of time to do it. So we have some
Right.
animation. Okay, I think I'm done, Mr. Moderator.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much
Okay.
for the opportunity.
Thank you, Faisal, for the very interesting presentation. Okay, next we move on to the question and answers. Since we don't have any questions on the chat room, okay, why don't I pose a question for the panel to answer? What do you think is the status of the digital content in Malaysia for educational sector? We start with Mr. Lau first.
Can you repeat your question? Yeah.
What is the status of digital content in Malaysia for education sectors?
I think my key takeaway is this: we do have some contents here and there, but they are not comprehensive enough, right? Meaning, when I meant comprehensive, I'm referring to not all topics, for instance, or all subjects are being covered. Take for example, I'm a Ministry of Education also prepare some content for to be telecast over the television, for instance. But again, I don't think it's comprehensive. So this is the current status. But
Okay,
Sasbari, I have to qualify myself. I think for Sasbari, we do have comprehensive content, which is like I mentioned just now for Island Ace, for instance, covering from year 1 all the way to Form 5, and all other contents that we make for teachers in the form of teaching aid. They are always comprehensive because we do understand the importance to provide comprehensive contents, because it's not to take some and leave some. That is not going to be fair.
okay. Mr. Raj, what do you think about the content condition of Malaysia?
Very amazing question, you know. This is something which I've been talking to MOE, MOHE, MDAC, and all these people 3 years ago that moved into content development 3 years ago. I think only last year I see a lot of empowerment taking place by MDAC and creative technology and all that. Now, to be frank, no, we don't have. If you're talking about digital content, is very limited. But when you say digital content, there'll be too specific. One, digital content. In this particular meeting, you saw 3 different verticals. One is a video content. One is a static content. One is a VR content, 3D content. That I mean,
Okay.
the 3 different type of content. So locally, no, I don't see much, but it's happening slowly. But I think Malaysia will take a long call to do that. Why? Why? There must be a major mindset change on the stick level holders, people like MOE, looking at 21st century and start working on it. So we probably take about 3 to 5 years to actually develop this kind of content. But nevertheless, said and done, while they're waiting, local content developers will start spreading up in the market. Starting last year, a lot of content developers already spreading up in the market, and they'll be able to create this content and complement education industry. We understand the challenges with the industry is content. We understand that very clearly. But what we also ask, the government must look into it and start moving forward. Then it will empower the education industry to first world mindset, first world education standard.
Okay. Faisal, what about the tuition centers? Do you think that the content for them is moving forward?
To me, right now, our tuition centers, at least in Malaysia, is very traditional. Whereby if you go there, you can see the ambience is still not there. It's very dull. People go there basically because their parents ask them to do. Whether it helps or not, it's still traditional. That's why it has to be a pivotal moment for the tuition centers to implement. Whereby, because it's at the end of the day, it's all about because if it's private driven, it's all about commercial. They have to make money. So if their content is being consumed by the only the community around them, so it does not. I mean, economically, it is very difficult for them to scale upwards. So only digital platforms can basically democratize the access. At least they can cater for larger audience. But still, the content has to be very immersive and very the engagement level has to be high. So there has to be a feedback between students and teachers when they do online learning, like what Mr. Raj said numerous times. There's engagement. If it's one way, then there's no way for any provider to know what are the impacts. Is it being accounted for? Is it being put into analysis? So tuition centers should pivot using digital adoption, using the technology available in the market by the likes of Sasbadi, Makora, and even us. So we are only serving a very narrow vertical, but we hope to scale forward. But content creation can be done in-house by this 6,000. We have 6,000 plus or 7,000 tuition centers. That can be a very fast content place or content creation place, but standards has to be there in terms of content quality checklist. The settings must be right. It cannot be just like the Malaysians say tangkap muat. So as long as we have, you can see most of the contents right now from our country inside YouTube or wherever. 2 minutes into it, you lose focus. You don't want to look at it anymore. It has to be engaging. So the use of animation or even some techniques in delivering, presenting from teachers itself has to be put into place. So I might suggest that training must be provided in terms of content creation.
So you're saying that those are the strategies that need to be taken up by the industry in order to move the industry forward in terms of digital content?
Yes, there must be a proof of concept. I think something that works, something tangible for industry players to see. It can be, when it's privately driven, it can be much more beneficial and much more fast. And government can come and support in terms of giving access to devices and bandwidth. That's my hope.
Okay, so so just another question for the panel. I think to continue what we said just now regarding strategies. So what do you think are the strategies needed by the industry to ensure positive uptake by the government? Mr. Lau?
Well, I think first of all, we need to be seen, to be seen by the government and the policymakers. I think a panel like today is one good forum. Of course, we hope that there will be important people watching, and so that they come to know about the local capabilities. There is always this myth, they always thought that all latest technology or high-level technology are only available from the West. So I think for the local players, myself included, I think we need to learn how to do our marketing better and engage with the government and the policymakers better. Yes, I believe that Raj probably have tried. I have tried. Believe me, over the years we have done POC, we have done many projects with the MOE, but it usually yielded nothing, right? At the end, come to a point of time, we start to become, sort of like kurang yakin, that by depending and waiting for the durian to jatuh not even runtuh, just jatuh sebiji dua pun sometimes tak jadi. So much so that we taught ourselves, we teach ourselves to be independent and to survive on our own 2 feet. But technology investment is a huge investment, and I already have highlighted just now. Government have to play a pivotal role in terms of supporting, and like I've said just now when Faisal was saying, I was shouting, I think, and buy the products. You know, the government could support us. The best way of support is to buy our local products. So that we the return that we could recoup from our investment, we can achieve some ROI so that we could further reinvest. And with the further reinvestment, then we will continue to develop newer and higher technology. Encouragement and support is very necessary. We can't keep on digging into, like for instance, Susbuddy. We've been using the profit we make from our conventional products to support the development of our technology products. Technology products up to now, I mean, we are not losing money, but we can't already see a lot more needs to be done. Yeah, I think the strategy is more on the marketing and engagement with the government. That's my personal opinion.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
very interesting on the strategy. Bhagat, very good question, you know. Sometimes the comments might hurt some people. But the fact remains, we need to admit what the weakness we have. We need to admit that the ecosystem has weaknesses. Uh, just before education, the government embarking big way into IR 4.0, asking the industry to go into digital transformation. Right? They're already doing that. They should have the same focus in education. If they see the industry need to move forward, the education also need to move forward. If the education don't have the skill, the industry will not able to move forward. So this is where the capability issue come back in the education industry. Now you don't provide them all the skills needed. What is 21st century like going to be if the students are not provided from young, from K-12 to higher education? When they go out, what happened to them? So government can play a role. One of the best approach which we have spoken to government and say, listen, why don't we set up a research and development lab? You know what I mean? Set up a research and development lab. Bring in the stakeholders from the university. Bring in from the MOE. Sit down, discuss. Let's create the ecosystem locally. You get what I mean? Create the contents all locally based on the local requirement. And then platforms are available. I mean, Makora have platforms, Vaidal have platform, Metalau have platform. We can work around on that. But the important thing is the stakeholders must have a change mindset. One. Two, not only the stakeholders have a change mindset, frankly, the delivery industry, the education industry must have a change mindset. We can't go back on traditional teaching and say this is what's going to happen. Malaysia will lose out. And I'm already seeing that in higher education. So now the higher education all getting up to go for the digital transformation. But on lower education, I don't see that. But like what Faisal Lau say, listen, we have every hope a parent or son or daughter will have a mobile phone. Forget about tablet, yeah. We can engage. You can use so the students can actually use the mobile phone on learning methodology until a tablet or laptop become cheaper and whatever not. And the government is embarking on that 150,000 laptops they're going to launch. I don't know when they're going to launch, but they're going to launch. But the question is, what's the point of having the laptop when there's no contents?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it should work together. So when you give the laptop, give the content together, about empowering, and then later the teachers or the MOE can come up with the content and update and move forward. So the challenges are many. So it's a stakeholders decision. One, two, teachers must be dynamic now. I mean, with the 21st century, way of thinking, way of doing have to change. We can't stick on to the old methodology. Three, don't let the students become a victim because we choose not to change. You know what I'm saying? Students should not be the victim because our system is not right. Then the students will move on to elsewhere. This is where the challenges are. This is my personal opinion.
Okay,
Thank
Faisal?
you.
Yep, everything that those guys, the experts say. Like I said, I'm the younger one here. But I don't like to say this, but to me, when I went into college, I learned what 3 or 4 years of accounting and finance background. I failed to understand. Even I've studied in overseas in the UK, but then after 4 years coming back, graduated from college, and when there was no in terms of implementation into the real world, being an accounting and finance graduate, I don't know how to implement in the real world. When I go into the working level, I don't know what to do. But during the 6 months of probational period in an audit firm, I learned everything about accounting and finance in just that short period of 6 months, because it was being implemented into a real world scenario. That's why education in, I don't want to, can I say Singapore? That's why education in Singapore is superior, because the classes are focused on teaching the students specific problem solving skills and subjects. The classroom is highly scripted, and the curriculum is focused on teaching students practical skills that will help them solve problems in the real world. That needs to be done in terms of our content delivery or content itself. Yep, that's it.
Faisal, you nailed it.
Yes.
You nailed it. You know what I mean? That's a fact. I mean, let's face the reality, what's happening in the industry. We know these things are happening. We need to address the stakeholders, government must address this. And I believe they will address this. They realize this. They're doing a lot of things. But it's slow. But with technology driving, you can't be slow. You need to adapt quickly, stage by stage, and move forward and create an ecosystem. So self-directive learning, experimental learning, whether it's online or not online or whichever, will actually create the skills to students when they go out to actually for an employment, or even they go to onto the higher level education. They have a better understanding what they need to do and what they want to achieve. But we have that lacking. We need to empower that very well, so that students will not be left out in the primary level or the secondary level.
Okay, thank you very much, members of the panel. Okay, I think the discussions have been very, very, very informative with regards to from the government side or from the private sector. We hope that this will be a stepping stone for the industry to move forward in terms of the education sector, in terms of technology. So just to close things up, we hope that this will help the industry, will help the students, we help the kids to really grasp this technology in terms of education-wise. So thank you very much for the panel, and we hope to see you soon later on.
Could I add one thing, Mr. Moderator Magan?
Yeah, sure.
I'm extending olive leaf to Faisal and Mr. Law. We are providing global education grant to universities. And okay, we are doing this, and I've qualified quite a number of universities in Malaysia who are taking up a grant and moving on virtual education. Now, contact me. I think I will in Asia. I can qualify the grant should be provided, and we can work together. We can provide the grant, work around, and let's take it virtual. Well, let's empower Malaysia in the next level together.
Yes, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Raj.
Yes, bye.
Faisal and Raj. Goodbye.
Right, bye. Okay. Lots of big guys, 2 fellas.